Hello, welcome to TS Lombard. I think markets have a more realistic view of President Trump than they had a few months ago. Immediately after the US election, we saw this big rally in markets, a big rise in bond yields, and it seemed that investors were only reacting to the bits of his program that they actually liked, so the tax cuts, the deregulation. But also the threat of trade wars and protectionism is also genuine. I think now investors are paying more attention to that. Well, the President's promising to do all kinds of things on fiscal policy. Obviously, there's lots of talk about defence spending, about infrastructure spending, but it's not clear how much of this is actually new spending and how much it relies on private sector participation. I think the more significant part of the agenda is what he's likely to do on tax. We're going to see big tax cuts right across the board, and most US taxpayers will be paying less tax as a result. In terms of a fiscal stimulus, Trump's program is far from perfect. It's regressive, it relies on tax cuts rather than government spending, and it comes pretty late in the economic cycle when it's more likely to be inflationary. But having said that, it could still have a pretty big effect on the US economy. The overall size of the scheme is big, it's about 1.5% to 2% of GDP, and there's plenty of evidence that US taxpayers do respond to tax cuts, both on the household side and on the corporate side. I'm much more sceptical about the kind of supply side benefits from these reforms. There's not much evidence that you get stronger productivity or stronger long-term growth rates. Well, the border adjustment tax is the most controversial policy. Effectively, it means a tax on imports of around 20% and a subsidy to exports. I think it's very unlikely that this policy will actually happen. Whatever way you look at it, the policy is likely to be quite damaging. Either it's going to lead to a lot of import price inflation and a big squeeze on retailers, or we're going to see a big rise in the dollar. Either of those effects would be quite dangerous for the US economy.